Hello and welcome to the Fossil Huntress podcast. Today on the show we're going to be talking about fossils preserved in pyrite. So yesterday we spoke about ammonites, my favorite little coiled cephalopods that left us 65 million years ago. And one of my favorite ammonite fossils is an ammonite preserved in pyrite. So pyrite is a brass yellow mineral with a bright metallic luster. It's kind of a gold with a bit of an edgy yellow to it. And it's a chemical composition of iron sulfide, so FeS2. It's one of the most common sulfide minerals and one of the most beautiful. Sometimes when we find fossils in the field, they can be preserved in this beautiful pyritic structure, and sometimes that can be both beautiful and challenging because they're harder to prep. When you purchase a fossil like this, so if you've ever bought a ammonite in pyrite from a place like Etsy or Amazon, it may be coated in a little bit of brass. So sometimes people add a coating of brass to increase the aesthetic appeal. The practice is frowned upon in paleontological communities, but it's done even so. So pyrite forms at high and low temperatures, usually in small quantities, in igneous, metamorphic, and sedimentary rocks. So you can find it in a spectrum of outcrops. When we find a fossil preserved with pyrite, it tells us a lot about the conditions on the seabed where that organism died. So pyrite forms when there's a lot of organic carbon and not a lot of oxygen in the vicinity. And the reason for this is that bacteria in the sediment usually respire aerobically using oxygen. However, when there's no oxygen, they respire without it. So they're anaerobic bacteria, and they typically do this using sulfate. So sulfate is a polyatomic anion with the empirical formula SO24. It's generally highly soluble in water. Fat-reducing bacteria, some anaerobic microorganisms, and other little goodies living in sediment or deep on the ocean floor near deep sea thermal vents use the reduction of sulfates coupled with oxidation from organic compounds or hydrogens as a source of energy for chemosynthesis. So it's how they eat and how they live. So high quantities of organic carbon in the sediment form a barrier to oxygen in the water. And this works to encourage anaerobic respiration, and it also encourages the type of pyritic preservation that we like to see. So when you find a fossil preserved in pyrite, we know that it died and was buried in sediment with low quantities of oxygen and high quantities of organic carbon. And whether or not we know all of those things, we know that it's exquisitely beautiful. So thank you for joining me, and we'll keep talking about preservation on the show. Talk to you soon.